The Centers of Disease Control and Prevention considers youth violence a serious public health problem. Experts say lack of emotional regulation contributing to the increase of youth violence. What is emotional regulation?
Emotional regulation is basically thinking before you act, not going on impulse. If you think about having an emotion, recognizing you have it, being able to manage it, and then express it in ways that are not destructive. That's pretty much what emotional regulation is. Thinking before you speak, thinking before you act. Children struggle with emotional regulation, often because they think that everything they feel has to be expressed. There has to be some sort of buffer between what you experience and how you express it, what you think and how you express it. But if we're not thinking, we're just reacting, and you're impulsively, putting things out there. Emotional regulation is helped when children learn at younger age. So you're starting at the teenage years, but it starts way before you become a teen. It's about emotional literacy, finding words to express your emotions, finding healthy ways to release them. I talk a lot about creative practices, journaling, talking to adults. I think one thing that we struggle with in our culture is adults, in my experience, have abandoned kids. For some reason, we've abandoned our youth. We expect them to act like adults, but they've never been trained and taught. We put devices in front of them at early ages instead of that one-on-one personal connection. That is what kids are struggling to find. I call it a crisis of connection. And a lot of us, by the time they get teens, we don't want to deal with them anymore. It's like these behaviors. And sometimes it triggers our own feelings from when we were teenagers. And I know for a lot of us, adolescence was a very, very tough period. But connecting with young people, helping them to understand their emotions, not when they're teenagers, but when they're in the womb. I often encourage mothers to talk to your baby, read to your child, engage them. Eye-to-eye contact is so significant. I remember growing up, we used to play outside. Kids got that check of each other. The emotions were definitely regulated. They learned how to play together in the sandbox. And so now a lot of things have gone digital. A lot of kids don't communicate with each other face-to-face, eye contact, touch, feel, sensing. It's all this distant communication. And so they never really learn how to regulate themselves. But if you can think about just creating space, I often relate it to something like a thermometer. That's an outward thermometer, like a gauge. How you can regulate it. If you want it warmer, you turn it up. You want it cooler, you turn it down, or however that goes. But thinking about something that you dial up or down. And every thought does not require air. Everything you think does not have to be expressed. And if you want to express emotions that are powerful and painful, go to someone you trust. Not in that moment, because oftentimes we say things that we cannot get back, and that's the problem. So that is, the essence of emotional regulation, taking time and space to think before you act or to think before you speak. And knowing that your words have power and thinking about the impact that that's going to have on another person. Teens, of course, they want everything like this. Instant. Rest, breathe. Not everything deserves your attention.
I wanted one follow-up question in regards to parents. I notice modern parents say they're very busy, right? They say they're very busy. Some are very busy, right? Do you think just the structure of the family now is not conducive to produce healthy children due to the lack of support and how much time people spend at work?
Yeah, so that's another question too. So it's not conducive to it because that's the way we structured it. It's just that simple. We want to have all of every world. You can't. Something has to be sacrificed. Either you want healthy, well-regulated children, or you want to run out there and make a whole lot of money. If that is your priority and your children, you're just sitting them in front of a device. And because, literally, I see 2-year-olds in a supermarket in that little bin basket thing like this. Parents are either they're on their phones. I get it. We're all busy. But you have to invest in your children. There's no other way around it. You can't, you can also, obviously we all have to work. If you are in that position, you have to work. But you have to learn how to balance and manage your time. It's significant. We can't neglect our children. And then when they grow up, we look at them like, these monsters that we created. So yes, to answer your question, absolutely. The way that the family is structured, most families are structured today, it's not conducive to raising healthy children who are able to well regulate their emotions. But if we restructure, prioritize, make children our priority first. That family first thing. Remember that old thing that we used to say, families first? We've gotten away from that. Everything is now outside of the home, and we're letting devices raise our children.